Well, welcome back to Steve's Sermon Shorts. It's good to see everybody out there. And I just want to kind of remind everybody, keep everybody up to date on what I am reading in my Bible. Well, I'm reading into 1 Kings at this point, and right now I'm at the part where David is living his final few days on earth. And we know David is the king of Israel, one of the most anointed, greatest kings of Israel's time. And as it comes to the last part of his life, he is now blessing Solomon to be the king who follows. Well, it was interesting because last night as I'm coming to this point where I'm reading this part where David is blessing Solomon and is anointing him and appointing him as the next king of Israel, my son Ryan comes into the room. Now, when I'm doing my Bible time, I'm doing it through the YouVersion app, and it's a kind of a neat thing because what I do is it's reading it to me, and I'm also reading it as it comes. That way I have two kind of things that hit me up, not just reading it visually, but also hearing it audibly. And so Ryan came into the room, and he's sitting there watching and listening to the Bible as it reads itself to me. And it comes to a part where after David has made Solomon king, that the appointees, the people who are there with him, are saying, bless you, King Solomon, live long, King Solomon. And they're also making the point, may your kingdom be greater than David's. May your life be longer than David. And my son, who's sitting there watching and hearing this, he says, whoa, that's kind of offensive. And so I'm like, wait a minute. So, of course, I stopped the playback, and I'm like, well, what do you mean, buddy? He's like, well, they're just kind of saying that right in front of him. That's kind of mean to say to, hey, I hope your son lives longer than you. I hope your son's kingdom is much greater than yours. And so I think it was a really neat moment because I got to tell Ryan, I was like, well, Ryan, that's what parents really feel. Because parents want their children to do better. Parents want their children to excel and to do better than they did. And we can imagine that as David is hearing them say this, and we know even at the end of the chapter, David himself is saying the same thing, that David's probably saying in his mind to Solomon, don't make the same mistakes I made. Don't do the things I did, because that's what parents do. And one of the things we as parents to our children need to always remember is God's got a plan for them. God's got a plan for what he wants for them. And that we need to remind our children, say, follow and trust in the Lord, because when you do so, good things will happen and your kingdom will be great. You will live that long life. And so we need to make sure that we take David's example here as we say, yes, we want our children to live long. We want them to have great lives, and we want them to follow the Lord. Follow the Lord completely and totally, because when you do that, you will live that long life. So it was just a neat moment I got to share with my son last night, telling him, that's what parents do. We love our children. We want our children to excel and to move well past what we have done. And so it was interesting because it brought a little tear to his eye, and it was just a neat thing to be able to talk with him. But again, we need to do that with our kids as well. Teach them to love the Lord, to do what God would say, and their lives will be long and their kingdoms will be great. All right? See y'all next week.